This is Conversations on Careers and Professional Life, a podcast from the Foster School of Business, MBA Career Management Office. I'm your host, Gregory Heller. On each episode, I talk with guests from faculty and staff to students and business leaders about the skills and strategies that can help you design a professional life that you're happy with. On this episode, I speak with Shobhit Gupta, a member of the Foster MBA class of 2020. We recorded our conversation at the end of his first year in the program, just as he was preparing to start his internship. We talked about his approach to career development, the internship search, and self-care. Shobhit is also the president of the Foster Tech Club, and we discussed that club's plans for the 2019-2020 academic year. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Shobhit Gupta. My guest today is Shobhit Gupta. Shobhit is a rising second year. He's at the end of his first year of the full-time MBA program, and he is also the incoming current president of the Foster Tech Club. And we're going to talk about Shobhit's experience both with recruiting for internships as well as plans that the Tech Club has for the 2019-2020 academic year. Welcome to Conversations on Careers and Professional Life.
Thanks, Gregory, for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'd love to start by getting a quick sense of what you were doing before you came to Foster and what brought you to Foster specifically.
For sure. So I started my career at Deloitte Consulting. Then I quickly got the entrepreneurial bug, and I was building my startup in event management solutions. I was doing that for 3 to 4 years. And after doing that successfully, I understood that Seattle is like this rising, ecosystem for startups, entrepreneurship, energy. I really wanted to be close to this. And hence, MBA seemed to be a great option for meeting like-minded people and also building value in the ecosystem. And that brought me to my MBA at Foster.
And when you came to Foster and started getting acclimated to the internship search, what kinds of activities did you find really helpful, either within career management or outside of career management, to give you a lay of that land?
I think the first and foremost, reaching out to alumni was really helpful. Foster has this really intense alumni experience that you get as soon as you come to Seattle. 40% of alumni base is in Seattle. So meeting people in different companies and getting the lay of the land was the best way for me to, soft land. The second, I think, would have been just reading more and more about what's happening in the ecosystem,
What did you read to get a sense of that?
Yeah, for sure. So, for example, I started getting on GreekWire, TechCrunch. Some of those suggestions came from you, Gregory. I remember because you were my career coach. Then our professors gave us tons of podcasts like Planet Money and so on. So I was just being very conscious of whatever everybody else is reading and just trying to read the same things like Wall Street Journal to start my day, just as basics like that, so that you get in the frame of mind of what normal citizenry is doing in Seattle.
How many of those conversations do you think you had with alumni in the first quarter?
It's really hard to put a number on it, but I would say I've made a conscious choice of doing one good conversation every Sunday. So I mostly took out afternoons and evenings on Sunday on phone. I did not even do in-person coffee chats because sometimes people don't have time to meet in person, but they're more than happy to connect on video or Skype.
Okay, so about one a week.
One a week.
And then were you also talking to second years here on campus?
Yeah. So we had an amazing peer advising program as a part of Foster School of Business Career Management, where you have these 10 to 15 seniors who are helping you in different industries. So for consulting, you can reach out to a couple of people. For finance, you can reach out to a couple of people. I use that extensively. I was doing one meeting with on peer advisor every week. And this always had a context. I always had a context of discussing either my resume or my cover letter or just going through my stories, behavioral questions. But it was never like, hey, hi, what's up? It was more about, hey, this is what I need help with and how we can build on that.
I remember you would come to meetings with an agenda emailed morning of, if not the day before, what you wanted to talk about with me for our coaching appointments. And I know that you met with a number of other career coaches in the office here.
Correct. So I always try to be really structured with all of my interactions, because what happens is that just a week before the interviews, all of this has happened 3 to 4 months before. So a week before the interviews in January, you need a catalog of all the interviews you have done. So I had like this big folder which had exact meetings that I have had, what was the outcomes of every meeting that I had, what I learned from them. So before I was walking into a Microsoft interview, I knew exactly the people who have interviewed at Microsoft, what they told me. So that really helps you get in the right energy and the right frame of mind.
That brings me to my next question. What kinds of positions were you applying for your internship?
So I actually started in a very typical MBA fashion, open for everything, to be very honest. On one end of the spectrum, I interviewed with, McKinsey, Deloitte for more into consulting jobs, because as an entrepreneur, I had huge experience of working with stakeholders, building value on the go. On the other side, I was really interested in product as well. And I was also applying for product management and product marketing roles at companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google. And in both of these spectrums, I think my outcome was to get a great summer experience of just working on in Pacific Northwest or the West Coast, and just getting a sense of how people work in US and how people work in big setups. So I think these both were inclined towards that.
How many internships would you say you applied for?
I would say that I got done with my season early, so I just applied to maybe maximum 10. To be honest, I applied to the top technology companies and the consulting companies, and I did not apply to anything else after that.
And what was your hit rate in terms of application to interview?
I would say that there is one company, Spotify, which I did not get a call from. I got like 9 out of 10, I would say, in terms of interviews.
So it's safe to say that you were pretty selective
Yes.
in terms of what you were applying for, focused and targeted.
Yeah, so my approach towards applying to any company required extensive research. I would read a lot about the companies I would go on LinkedIn, see what the leadership is talking about. Like, for example, go to Satya Nadella's LinkedIn and see whatever he's talking about. So that it takes so much of time to apply to a company that I really wanted to be super selective of who are going after.
Now, where are you going to be doing your internship?
So I'm going to do it at Amazon Web Services as a senior product manager for technical products. And my team is going to be Amazon Pinpoint. It's like the Twilio for Amazon Web Service users.
Well, great. And that's going to start here in a couple days after this recording, right?
Oh yeah, it's happening next Monday. I'm super excited. I've already talked to my manager, and I think Seattle summer is amazing. And to enjoy that, sitting in an office will not be that amazing, but definitely we'll try to do both.
You'll find some time. The sun doesn't set till like 10 o'clock at night, so
yeah,
maybe you'll have some time after you get out.
Yeah, I'm quite getting used to that. Back in India, the sun sets by 7. So I'm getting used to being out, being active. That's why everybody's so healthy in Seattle, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we got to make up for the winters, right?
Yeah.
Before we shift gears to talking about the tech club, what would you say one of the most valuable experiences you had during the internship search and career management, professional development period of your first year was?
I would say that the ability to come and talk in privacy and be vulnerable with a team of people who are highly specialized in career management really helped me. I personally had not given an interview in the last 5 years of my life. So this was first time I was going through the entire process of being in front of a company, presenting myself. And I think that's half the battle won. If you really know how to present yourself really well, you can find all your weak areas while talking to a CM team. I think it's great. So I would say build relationships very closely with career management, be very candid and honest with them from a very early start, and try to take their feedback and try to work on them and show that you are making progress, because that makes them give better feedback the next time, and then better feedback, and then you keep improving. So it's about just building a great relationship with career management.
Shifting gears, we mentioned at the top that you're the president of the Tech Club at Foster. Tell me about the Tech Club. What is it? What do you do? And what should students know about it?
Great. So Technology Club at Foster School of Business is all about developing thought leadership, second, building relationship with technology companies, and third, training and upskilling students and MBA students and specifically for getting jobs in technology company. And for achieving all these three things, Tech Club does it through events, by organizing meetups, by doing treks, and so on.
I know that in the spring quarter, you organized a few local treks. Tell me about those.
Sure. So our idea is to do something called Learning Fridays. And Learning Fridays is all about going to a new company, can be a startup, can be a big company, and just interacting with the CXOs there. So we went to this company called Fly Homes. It's a real estate buying company based out of Seattle, and we went and interacted with the CXOs on one Friday. The next Friday, again, a group of 10 to 15 people from the club went to another company, which is called Remitly, which is into fintech, and
They're about sending remittance payments, essentially people living and working in the United States, sending money to families living in other countries.
Correct. I said, thanks so much, Gregory, for helping me out there. And so like this, we organized such events every Friday, and we have done 4 of these till now. And the best part about these events is that students get a hands-on experience of how people work and live in Seattle, especially in work. And the second is, in case there are synergies for a summer internship or future job opportunities, it helps to build a tangible relationship between the students as well as the companies in Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, so there's the individual networking, the students expanding their network, but also foster building stronger connections to a broader range of companies.
Absolutely. And that's the idea. How can we create the tech club to be like a bridge between Foster School of Business and Pacific Northwest community in terms of technology dialogue that can be at a thought leadership level, that can be at a recruitment level, that can be just building synergies together.
So that's what you did in your first quarter at the helm of the tech club. What can we expect from the next 2 quarters?
Yeah, the next 2 quarters is, I think, all about really helping class of 2021. A lot of people that I've met in class of 2021 come with an aspiration of becoming career switchers. So they want to switch into product management or product management marketing. So the very big part of our tech club drive would be helping them with behavioral interviews, helping them with assisting career management and doing that. The second aspect would be doing formal trips to the Bay Area and Austin while mostly the Memorial Day weekend. So we are working with a few companies based off both of those regions, which includes the big companies like Google, Microsoft, but also the smaller companies and startups. So the students get that trek experience. And the third thing that we are starting, this is pretty cool, is that every Tuesday we're going to have a workshop. And that workshop can be around maybe coding, that can be around how software management is done, that can be about blockchain, that can be about autonomous vehicles. So we have planned every Tuesday evening so that evening MBA students can also come in to just be a learning Tuesday evening. And it's about just upskilling students about various technology trends.
That sounds great. And the presenters at those, will those be other students, or are you going to bring outside people?
So we are planning to bring outside people for most of them. For example, Professor Jared Hadford is a professor in University of Washington's Foster School of Business, and he's a thought leader in blockchain. So he has signed up. There is someone who is coming from Spiral Genetics to talk about genetics. Then there is somebody who is coming in from a blockchain company based out of Bay Area. So we're trying to get people outside. But for more training-centric activities such as SQL or Tableau, we'll have people from the class of 2020 to come up and take this opportunity to interact with 2021 and give out those skills that they have learned over internships.
That sounds great. There are so many skills that are in demand that people might not have had the opportunity to develop or fully use, and there's only so much you can do in terms of coursework in the formal program. So it's great to have additional opportunities to learn about some of these technologies where you don't need to be an expert, but you need to be a little bit fluent in what it even means.
Absolutely. So I think that's another great piece of advice that I got after coming to Pacific Northwest is technical fluency is a big part of your job role. As MBAs, we're not required to code. We're not required to go and build products, but we're required to interact with people and stakeholders, which are engineers. So having basic understandings about SQL, about Python, about Java, and all these languages that I'm talking about is something which really should become part of the MBA skill set.
What's been one of the most surprising things as you've started planning these events?
I would say that the amount of interest across University of Washington to really interact with Foster School of Business is a very surprising discovery. I was talking to a couple of professors based out of the computer science department at University of Washington, and they're really interested in coming down, building relationships with Foster School of Business for maybe, entrepreneurship, or again, just interacting with industry leaders and stuff like that. So I think a big part of Tech Club, not in fall, but maybe in winter and spring quarter, we'll be building synergies between different departments in University of Washington and Foster School of Business. And we're also working with a couple of venture capital firms to really get them in and start evaluating some very early stage ideas, based out of Foster School of Business students.
And the Tech Club is just one of a number of clubs in the MBAA. And you just mentioned venture capital. And there is the Entrepreneurship and Venture Capital Club,
Yes.
EVCC. So I presume that you're working closely with EVCC as well on some of these events.
Yeah, so I've been very lucky that I have a dual role this time. And so I'm also the executive vice president for EVCC Club. So we're trying to build synergies between both the clubs, because I think tech is a big part of entrepreneurship and tech is a big part of venture capital right now, especially in Pacific Northwest. And both EVCC and Tech Club need to go hand in hand for really creating powerful events that I'm talking about. I mean, if a venture capital is coming to be at Foster School of Business, they want to have the best ideas, thrown at them. And we cannot do it alone. Like, both of the clubs have to be working together. So I'm working with Mark Peo, who is the president for EVCC, on enabling the event that I talked about.
What would you say incoming first-year students should know about getting involved in clubs and about blocking time for these kinds of events? What's the time expectation?
Sure. So for Tech Club, we have two simple expectations. Every Tuesday evenings around 4:30 to 6:30, we'll have Learning Tuesdays. And every Friday from 1:30 to 3:30, we'll either have a trek or have like an in-house resume workshop or something like that. So we will say 4 hours every week for attending events. Again, this will be very high in the start, but will phase out in the future. The second expectation for working for the club would actually be, based on your passion and interest, to be honest. We are planning to open the application to join the board for first years pretty early, like first week of October or even the last week of September. And we really want to find people from 2021 who are super passionate about, developing thought leadership for Foster School of Business. Second, working with their own network and bringing that network and hooking that into Foster School of Business. Or third, just giving back by their skills and by conducting workshops. So if you are out there, you're listening to this, part of class of 2021, feel free to reach out to me or Casey from our class for just showing what your passion is and what you can build for the club.
And where can students find out more about the Tech Club?
So you can actually go to the Foster MBAA website and just go and find all the event information about Technology Club and who are the board members. So reach out to them. Or I can share my email address, and I think it works faster if you can just send me an email and we can block a time and just talk about what's going on.
So we'll also put links to that website in the show notes for the episode. I want to shift back to something you said at the beginning. Mm-hmm. You talked about having 3 or 4 years in entrepreneurship in India. Tell me about that experience and what the most valuable thing that you think you carried forward from that into your time at Foster has been.
Interestingly, Gregory, this is the exact thing I was talking about with my manager yesterday. And I think there's one thing that I've learned by being in India is how to innovate with less. I think what I have brought into the US ecosystem is the ability to innovate with limited resources in terms of talent, in terms of market access, in terms of capital. And when you're working with less, you innovate. You have to be super efficient by using resources. Like when you're going to talking to a customer, the price sensitivity is really low when you're selling to the Indian market. Hence, you're not working on super fat profits. So I think what my ability to work in limited resources and really innovating in that is what I've really brought into Pacific Northwest ecosystem. And that's become the core of my ideology that, hey, don't crib for what you don't have, make the best of what you have.
Frugality.
Frugality, yeah.
Yes.
I think I was looking for
one
that
of
word.
the Amazon leadership principles. Yeah. You mentioned GeekWire and you mentioned TechCrunch. Are there other websites, books, or podcasts that you found really helpful during your career search and the first year at Foster?
Yeah, so I think one of the blogs that for aspiring product manager would be Strategy.
We'll get that URL.
We'll be sharing that URL for sure. I think that's a blog that a lot of the product managers in the West Coast keep updating stuff about. So that was great. I subscribe to newsletters from Axios, and Axios really helped me be in touch with anything that's happening in the ecosystem. So great newsletter to have conversation starters. The third I did was Anderson and Horowitz newsletters. Again, they are a venture capital firm based out of Bay Area, so I really use them.
Do you ever listen to their podcast, the A16Z podcast?
I would love to find time to do that, to be very honest, Gregory. But I just find newsletters to be super efficient. I mean, you can just like read through what really needs to go through. But I like, in terms of podcast, I am a big fan of Planet Money. I don't understand finance, but now I do a lot because I'm much more better about it because of listening to Planet Money. And the second podcast that I really like, that I'm listening to nowadays a lot, is more about meditation.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so what I've done is that I have a Spotify connection, so I just like try to listen to as much as I can about meditation, both in music and podcast. And I think meditation has really helped me. I'm a super hyperactive personality, so I think it really helped me to mellow down. I spend my first at 6 a.m. I wake up and I spend around 1 hour listening to Ravi Shankar. He is one of the best
Sitar players.
Sitar players, exactly. And I listen to him and I meditate and I do some yoga. Then I also try to listen to some sleeping music. So that really is my podcast for meditation.
Okay, so mostly music, and then you're doing like a mindfulness
Yes.
meditation along with that.
Correct.
And some movement,
Correct.
some yoga.
Exactly. And somehow I feel that MBA life becomes so much about what's happening around you. It's just like from day one till today, I think it's all about, you're in class, you're talking to people, you're out there, you're talking to people, you're always talking, you're always listening to people, but you stop looking within. You stop looking what you are actually absorbing inside you. And I think meditation is a great way to really go through all your subconscious and really understand, all right, this is what it means to me, and this is what I need to do next, and so on. So I think meditation really helps.
Perhaps a session with the Tech Club could be about all the various meditation apps and the technology businesses that have sprung up around meditation.
Absolutely.
It seems to come up on the podcast with interviews with students. We've heard a number of them talk about the apps that they use for meditation.
Yeah. So one of them that I love is Calm.
Okay, yeah.
And Calm is very simple. And the second is Yoga Channel.
Okay, I haven't heard of the Yoga Channel.
Yoga Channel on Instagram is super good. It just keeps showing you different postures that you can do in daily life. Like if you're standing on a standing desk and you're working on your laptop, it will just show you a posture that you can do while you're working. So that really helps you to be conscious about the fact that you're doing something about yourself. So
that's great. Are there any other personal practices that you think kept you healthy and sane during the craziness of a first-year MBA program?
Deleting all the communication apps from my phone. I am super light on my phone. I only have Slack. I don't use WhatsApp. I don't use Messenger. I don't use Snapchat. I don't use anything. I don't use Instagram. I use every app on web as a part of my Chrome browser.
Okay.
So no notifications. I think that saves you tons of time. Whenever you open your screen, notifications suck at least 15-20 minutes of your time with no value output.
So digital minimalism.
Exactly. Using it. Yeah, one of the very cool things that one of my professors used to say at Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, where I was incubated for my startup, was, phone is for your convenience, not for the world's convenience. So I think that's one thing. The second thing that I did very well was be an efficient note taker. Like I was always writing. I was in class, I was writing, something was coming to my mind, I was writing. So I was really voraciously writing in every meeting, every information I was having. So having your ability to write helps you structure your thoughts and really helps you to have a catalog of how your thinking has progressed. One of the things that I remember, Gregory, we did in one of the exercises was these 1 month goal settings, if you remember, that we did at part of career management. I think that really helped me. Now, because to do goal setting, you need to have tangible evidence of what you're doing in the month and how you're achieving that goal. So I think writing, write.
I just read somewhere the idea that you should block out some time at the end of every week to reflect on what it is that you accomplished that week. And I think this is actually a great tip for people who are starting out in a new job or in an internship, is that it's going to go by in a flash and you're going to forget about a lot of little things that you did if you don't document them. And by documenting them, you can then use them on your resume in the future.
Absolutely.
So spending a little bit of time every week to reflect on what happened, what you learned, what you accomplished, because sometimes even those small accomplishments can lead to a really powerful story in future interviews.
Absolutely. And just to add another point to what you said, in my calendar, every Sunday, I actually had a blocked out time between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. And in those 2 hours, I was just going through all the notes that I've created over the week and then putting them into digital format. So I had this huge Excel, which had like a list of all the people I've met and what they have told me and so on. So I did that exercise that you said. And the second thing is, on a Sunday, another thing that you can do is cook for yourself. I think another thing that I've really learned after being in US is that keeping your mind healthy, you have to keep your body healthy. And just trying to find some time on every Saturday or a Sunday to cook for yourself makes you feel really good about yourself.
So meaning cook for yourself for that day, or like get things into the fridge for the rest of the week?
Oh no, I don't like, taking things out of the refrigerator and heating them. I've still not matured to the US lifestyle to that extent.
Okay.
But I just cook like a meal, like a small meal for myself, like some Indian, cheese tomato curry or something like that, which I really like, and just like enjoy that couple of hours just for not doing anything, just switching off.
You mentioned some podcasts. So you mentioned that you really like Planet Money. I'll toss in The Indicator from Planet Money, which comes out daily, is also great. If you've got an extra 9 minutes a day, maybe your walk from the bus to campus is a great one. And Harvard Business Review has a podcast called After Hours.
Oh.
Which is about 30 minutes. And it's 3 HBS professors talking about current business news.
Nice.
And I think it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. They have a really good rapport with each other, and the topics they talk about, they talk about recent IPOs or companies that are about to IPO or other phenomena in the economy and in the business world. Wow. And it's just really interesting because it's like you're a fly on the wall of 3 business professors talking about current events.
That's great. That sounds super interesting.
That's a good one. Are there any books that were really high impact for you?
I think the usual suspect of books are the Lewis Lin book about product management. But, I want to put a caveat to books. I think books are a very generic way of telling you what to expect out of an interview. And it tells you what's the interviewer's side of story. It can never be the interviewee side of story. For example, a product management book you might be reading might be tell you about these are the 5 Ps of how to solve a case. But that's what the interviewer is expecting the best answer to be. But in the interview situations, you might not be able to use all the tips. So whenever you're reading a book, use it like a guide, but more develop your own, style of, casing and interviewing, etc. So to be very honest, I never relied too much on books. I more relied on human interactions, interacting with people.
Any final words, things you want to share?
I would say that I'm available for anyone who's listening to this podcast for any sort of help and however I can give back to the community in Pacific Northwest.
Okay, that's great. You can find Shobhit on LinkedIn. I'd say is a great place to find him and connect with him there. And you can also connect with him once you get to campus through the MBA student directory and through the technology club. Thanks so much for coming in,
Thank
Shobhit,
you so much.
And we'll put some of those notes into the show notes.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for having me there. And I just wanted to congratulate you towards the end. I think I've been really enjoying your podcast from since it come out.
Thanks for that compliment.
Yep.
That's great. Shobhit's focused and strategic approach to the internship search proved effective for him and holds lessons for other students. The deep research he did into each company he applied for, combined with mock interview practice, ensured that he was well prepared for those interviews. His advice on taking good notes and then reviewing and synthesizing them is also great. I look forward to seeing the events and programming that Shobhit and the Tech Club organize this fall. You can learn more about the Tech Club at uwfostermbaa.com and check the show notes for other references from this episode. Thank you for listening to another episode of Conversations on Careers and Professional Life. I'd love to hear what you think about the podcast. You can email me at gheller@uw.edu. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or classmate. So if you are cooking for yourself only on Sunday, What are you doing for eating the rest of the week?
I'm a very boring person, Gregory. So all I do is I go to BB's Teriyaki every second day and I get some teriyaki chicken and rice. I think that's super convenient. I want it fast. And then I do a lot of Trader Joe's.